Hey, Bree, how are you? I think you might. Oh,
I had my earphones plugged in, so I couldn't hear anyone. So Brienne is calling in from Texas. Nancy is from Washington, right?
Yes.
The area. Oh. Sorry, yes. Nick still is like, those are two separate places, right?
know.
And Melissa is from Pennsylvania. What's the closest big city to you?
Philly.
It is? Okay. I was going to say that, but I didn't know. And that's an hour?
Oh, no, 40 minutes.
40? Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, probably 30, but yeah.
All right. My husband's going to be joining us in a couple minutes from South Carolina. Oh. He's finishing dinner with her friends downstairs. They're all from PCC. So they're all like, oh, remember so-and-so, remember Short Dan, and remember Fat Dan? I'm like, who are all
You're like, yeah, no.
I know. I just nod and smile. I'm like, must have been a good time. I think that everyone, when they get together, especially with college people, that they tend to do that. Because I've noticed that a little bit. Yeah, or even high school. Like, you remember in high school we did this? Okay, I would like to start. I know that a lot of people are doing other things, so I'm going to jump in. But I'm going to go ahead and start with prayer. Okay?
Okay.
Dear Jesus, thank you for this opportunity to join with these amazing ladies holding hands and walking together forward for your glory, Lord. I pray that as we all grow together, that we will continue to push each other, to encourage each other, and to love on each other and lift each other up when we need it. And that above all, we will remember what our ultimate purpose is, and that through it, you will be glorified above everything. Thank you again for this evening, for this time, for our health. We love you, Lord. Amen.
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 Okay, so what I'm going to have you, I would love for someone to start. And Brienne, we have been working on, I don't know if you've heard of them, Clifton Gallup Strength Finder. It's when you answer questions. There's, 75, maybe 60, 75 questions you ask. And it brings up your top 5 strengths. So what God has given you in your personality to enable you to be basically who you are. And the concept is, instead of sometimes we so often focus on, oh, I wish I was better at this, or I wish I could do such and look at that person, they're so good. Instead of worrying about that, we look instead at our 5, just like think of a star, right, with the 5 points, and we help to grow that and make it shine brighter instead of trying to make our star more rounded and becoming more well-rounded. So that's the concept. So either Nancy or Melissa, I would love for one of you to share. I know, Nancy, we chatted about it a little bit before. Share some of your strengths or what they mean to you, and maybe something about the videos as you're watching them with the doTERRA relation with the strengths. Maybe something you learned from that. Please and thanks.
Nancy, would you like to start?
Okay, I'm not sure what's going to come out, but
Perfect.
My top strength is connectedness. And just learning that that's a great one for working with people. I can relate to them. Mm-hmm. And my second one is responsibility. So if I say I'm going to do something, I feel very, very responsible. I've got to do it. And adaptability. I'm just really flexible, and whatever happens, I really can go with it. And then I have empathy and developer.
Did we say that Nancy has 6 children? Put that.
I did not know that.
I do, yes.
Adaptability.
So, Nancy,
she has 5 daughters.
That's what. Okay, because all of us on the call here tonight, except for your one son, Nancy, all of us have only girls or all girls. One of the majority. Because Bree has how old is she? 3 months.
Oh.
Is she 4 now? Eleanor?
Mental.
Seriously, like one of the cutest babies I've ever seen. And I'm just like, oh, so long, big eyes, so cute. Must take after her mama.
I know.
So, having 6 children, Yeah, you need adaptability. Good job. That strength probably came out front and forward when you were raising them, eh?
Mhm.
Yeah, and with my husband too. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
oh, we're going to move next week, or just he makes a decision, and we just, you move with it, live with it, whatever.
Good job. Because a lot of people who don't necessarily have your strength might get a little bit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for that. So way to be adaptable and flexible. And your first is connected.
Yes.
Fantastic. So how can you say connectedness? How would you say that intermingles and would give you so much more strength and power for enabling God to use that through you with your doTERRA business?
Being able to relate to people, listen, and see where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
We all come from different points in life, different backgrounds, and so be kind to people, give them a little space.
Yes.
Very wise words. I think that grace is one of the gifts that we all need the most, that it's sometimes offered the least. So I think that that was very wisely spoken. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
And thank you for sharing your strengths. Good job. Okay, I'm going to have all of us, we're going to take a deep breath. In through your nose. Breathe it out. This is like a deep cleansing breath. Okay, one more time. In through your nose. And out through your mouth. It's been a long day for some of us, and I think this is just a moment to just pause and remember why we're doing what we're doing. So I'm going to have you all close your eyes, and I'm going to have you try to imagine and to think about what it is that you intend to create. What did God put you on the earth for, on the world for? And to think of, remember the vision board we talked about before. So what are some of the goals that you would love to have him work out in your life? What are some of the events that you would love to see for yourself, for your family? And just imagine that they are completed, that you've finished that goal, you've reached that date, whatever it is, and you've allowed God to use you and to grow you. And how do you feel? So just think about that and think about what it is to, yes, push hard and work hard, but also at the same time to surrender and allow him to use his power, and just how you feel throughout that. Okay, so I'm going to have you again open your eyes and look at where you are, and then try to imagine what you need to do in order to create that. So today we're going to be talking about creating momentum. Some people call it the big mo. I was listening to a book the other day. Creating momentum. And momentum is, I'm going to give you a couple different PDFs. I actually might be able to pull them up really quickly here and put them in the chat box. But what it is, the first one is basically just a graph of what momentum would look like. Okay, so what this means is on the bottom, you're going to see here, it won't take long, give me one second. Somebody yawning.
Oh, that was me. Sorry.
It's all right. Like I said, we've had long days.
Suze, can you give us a name of this graph? Because I could look it up on my computer right now.
Absolutely. I was going to actually post it in as soon
okay.
I was going to post it in the chat box. But I also posted it. Hold on, I move that. Chat. So on the chat, on the bottom of your screen, you're going to see options, or if you're on your phone, just swipe it. You're going to see invite, manage, share screen, etc. In the chat, I went ahead and just posted a link. So you can click that, and that's going to pull it up, and you're going to see a PDF. And on the PDF, you're going to see on the left-hand side, it can apply for sales, it can apply for business, for personal growth, etc. Okay? The bottom is basically just the measuring of growth. On the left, at the very bottom, the left is the growth, the bottom is time. So in the beginning, when you're growing, either in regular life, as a Christian, as a sales representative, wherever you are, this is how momentum works, okay? So you start, you join, you take those first steps, time happens, and then you come to a point that they say that it's critical mass, all right? So this is 95% of companies, if people get to this point and they quit, they give up, they walk away. And yet if they would have pushed just a little bit further, you see where that critical mass is on the PDF? Did you all find that okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's taking me a minute to find it.
It's all right. Is it in the chat or did it not pop up?
It did. I
Okay,
was
good.
trying to bring it up on my,
It's literally just like an L with the line, so you're not missing too much yet. But I'm going to give you another
Okay.
one too. Well, what it is basically showing the difference between when you're growing, when you reach that curve, and then the 95% of people who give up, look at what, if they had just stuck around, what they would have seen. They would have seen this momentum take off, and they would have seen this incredible growth curve. And so the difference is, what are you going to do? Are you going to allow yourself to just give up, to walk away, or are you going to push just that little bit further and see what's right around the corner? You're going to hit that critical mass, put in the time, and you're going to see that just take off right up. And this is something that they say of the most successful people, or the people who've seen the greatest growth in their life. Usually they have 3 of these in their lives, okay? They have one great, huge growth curve, and they do what's called, they ride it out. And basically they just work super hard, super hard, super hard, and then they stay at the top and they float, okay? And wherever they are for that goal. And they ride it out. And then they have to, again, push again super hard, because they have another growth curve that they want to hit, and they want to grow their team. You have people joining, you have people wanting to learn more, etc. So this happens about 3 times with most people. And each momentum curve grows exponentially, which I don't know if you remember exponents from math, but it's not just 2 times 2. It's like exponent. So this would be like the little number. Do you remember this, Brianne? Did you want to explain?
I wasn't good at math.
Okay,
That's for
so
sure.
the concept is you might lose 5, right? But you're going to bring in 10. So that's the difference, is it's not just adding, it's like literally multiplying exponentially. And what you want to do is you want to stay ahead of what is called attrition. So attrition is basically, you're going to have people who are going to either move away or pass away, and they're going to stop using the business, the sales, the service out of your life, whatever it is. So you have to stay ahead of that. And by doing that, you have to continually be working with this momentum, all right? And creating that growth curve. So I'm going to give you, sometimes people are like, well, what is momentum? How do we create it? This is just a phenomenon to me. So I'm going to give you basically like an equation for momentum, okay? And I'll have you write this down. So mass, Nancy, did we lose you, or are you still there? We may have lost her. Oh, she's muted. Okay. If you're there, no worries. I can see your name. Momentum is mass times speed, which equals a momentum. Mass times speed equals momentum. So mass is the number of people. Mass is the number of people. Speed is you're moving at a specific pace. Moving at a specific pace is speed. And momentum is that vertical growth that we talked about, where it takes off. And doTERRA did this. Apple did this as a company, right? They get started and then they just hit the market and bam, they fly off. So it's the same concept as that. So what would I love to encourage you to do to see that momentum is to set aside, and I would love for us to do this maybe in June, to set aside 30 days to give as much as you can, to work as hard as you can, to create that volume, create that velocity to see that momentum, okay? So in this 30 days, you're going to be wanting to reach out to and add as many high quality people as possible, right? Something to keep in mind. So I won't tell you the background, but we had just recently experienced an event where we had done something with people who are outside of our doTERRA team. And I just want to pause and say how grateful I am to be part of who we all are. And I believe we all have similar hearts and similar visions. And I just am so proud to be part of that and to see what we're all creating together. And we were involved with a person who wasn't necessarily of the same mindset. And with that being said, there was an enormous amount of drama, confusion was created, and like just this, oh my word, what happened? And for everyone who knows me, I'm like non-drama. You tell me what you want and that's fine. Okay, you like me, don't like me. Like, we're not going to do this behind the back thing, right? It's just straight up. So for me, going through this was hard. So when you're looking for adding as many high quality people as possible, who do you want to spend the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of your life with? Like, who are some of the people you would love to go on vacation with? You would love to spend hours at a coffee shop and talking, strategizing, building, like thinking about that, okay? Those are the people you're going to want to attract and draw in. The second, what can I implement as an asset? So what did God, remember we just talked about those 5 strengths. What did God give you that you can implement, that you can put to work basically for you. So Nancy said one of her gifts is connectedness. She is going to be amazing at reaching out to those people, and they're going to tell their story. She's going to ask the questions, and then she'll just know how to respond and how to work through that, all right? Melissa, one of your strengths is intellect, right? So
Yeah, it makes me sound so smart.
which you are. So you're going to be able to have that asset of someone has this question, they're so befuddled by it, and they don't know how to either grow.
They do think I know things I do not know.
Well, that's speaking to your confidence. But you're going to be able to use that as an asset and direct them either to finding the right answer or to sharing the right answer with them. All right. So what can you implement as an asset? You're going to elevate your activity level. Okay. So normally, whatever you do, you're going to multiply it times a certain number. So for some people, that's going to be multiplying it times 3, all right? Some people in our team are redoing their whole kitchen right now, and they cannot handle multiplying it because they're so busy. Yeah, you can come say hi real quick. Penelope just came in to say hi. No, yeah, she had to come over here.
Hi, Penelope. Oh, hi, cutie. Love you.
Hi, good job. You gonna go play?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
And different.
Not sure how that worked on a school night.
I'm watching a different movie.
Okay. You're going to increase your activity level. So for some people, it's times 3. For some who are going to like, bam, I'm doing this, it's times 10. So whatever you do, for example, maybe you have a personal, we call it PEG, personal enrollment goal of reaching out to 3 people, sharing with them and having them enroll. Okay, you're going to multiply this times either your 3 or if you're working on the 10, times 10. Okay, so this is the intensity that you're driving for. And thinking of it, okay, again, remember your vision board. You're only doing this for 30 days. So what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to give for time, energy, etc., to reach those goals, to create that, to work on that? Melissa and I had talked earlier. She sent me an email about goals versus systems. So we have goals to give us basically like a guideline. But sometimes when we don't hit, we're going to talk about contents. It's all right. When we don't hit that, did I activate Siri? That's probably my fault. Sorry.
Oh, that was my fault.
Okay. If we don't hit that goal, we get into this rut of, oh, I'm a failure, da da da. Whereas opposed to thinking of it as just a pinpoint of where we're heading. That's just like the what's going to draw us forward. So we at least have like a guideline, right? Like your GPS, it tells you where to go. Sometimes it redirects and it reroutes, but you're going to get there. So the system, we're going to give you some tools today to help sort of navigate that system, okay? So normally, if you're doing whatever it is, you're going to multiply it times 3 up to times 10. And then the numbers are going to grow. So they're going to see that little growth, and then it's going to take off. So for example, when I had done Diamond Club last year, which is when you're doing this, right? You're aiming for that 20 enrollments every single month. The team grew little by little, and then after, like at the end of it, it just shot off. And that was so exciting to see, and it's literally proven. So number 1, you're going to figure out when you're going to do this, okay? So what I would recommend is we're going to do it now, okay? We're going to do it in June, pump out these 30 days. Then we're going to do it in the fall. So maybe September, everyone's getting back into school, they're ready, they want to get their goals, etc. And then next early spring. So now fall and early spring. And these are going to be your 3 push-offs. Remember we had
sorry, I don't mean to.
No worries. Please, yes, that's what this is.
You. But if we do it in September, and will the convention kind of throw a little kink in that?
Depending, yeah, if you're flying or driving, that's a good question. If you're asking for walking across the stage, is that why you're asking?
No, I just mean if we have a 30-day push and I have 5 days of that 30 days being wrapped up in traveling to convention or being at convention.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So what you could
5 days out of the month.
Yeah, no, that I understand what you're saying, definitely. So you could bump it, do it in October, or what you could do mentally is say, okay, I have 5 days here where I'm just completely out of commission because I'm in classes all day long or at event or whatever. So you're going to take those 5 days and bump them to the end, if that makes sense. So your goal wouldn't be necessarily September 30th. It would be October 5th, for example. Does that make sense? Or bumping the whole thing for 5 or a month later. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to set the time, and then you're going to, number 2, stay on track. And that's what we're going to be creating with these tools that we're going to be giving you. Okay. So jump back to the chat, and you're going to see that second link I sent, and that is the trigger cycle. So I'm going to give you a sec. I'm going to give you a second to pull that up. It's a trigger cycle. And this trigger cycle, you can see, is divided into 2 parts. Okay, so in the left, you're going to be seeing that that's the outer game. So what happens outwardly? What happens in the, there we go, in the action aspect, okay? And then on the right hand, you're going to see the inner game. So this is that chatter, that mental talk that we're going through. And so we're going to walk through what each of these means. And I also want to tell you that this right here that you're looking at, this is one of your greatest dangers. This is also what I would believe is one of Satan's greatest tools. Because if he can get us to doubt ourselves, if he can get us to be distracted, to be discouraged, to be depressed, guess who wins every single time?
Yep.
We, I think, so much don't realize the power that we allow when we, instead of pushing through, okay, fine, be discouraged, but know how to handle it, know how to respond, and want to have that desire to keep going. I think subconsciously, I've done this before, is I don't realize how much power I let him have by letting that negative chatter continue. Instead of saying, okay, snap out of it, I'm not going to do this anymore. I sit on it, and then when you dwell on it, remember, what you focus on grows. What you dwell on excels. So I heard this quote the other day. I thought it was fantastic. Worrying is praying about something you really don't want. Isn't that a good quote? I thought it was a great
okay. Let me see here. What you focus on grows. What you dwell on
excels. And then
worrying is
praying about something you really don't want.
Oh, wow. That is good.
Right? I thought it was too. I'm like, wait, pause it. Got to write that down. Okay, so this is all broken up into basically 6 different aspects, and we're going to walk through which each of them does. And really quickly, a little story about it is that imagine you have a tea kettle, like an old school whistle one. You have a tea kettle burning, not burning, wow, boiling on your stove, and it is getting warmer, and then all of a sudden, the doorbell rings. And so you're like, oh, shoot, I don't want to, because it's a gas flame, and you don't know who it is, so you turn it off, you walk away, okay? Maybe it doesn't even have the whistle, so just in case you turn it off. So then as you're talking to whoever it was who came, it starts cooling down, okay? So then you walk back in, you're like, oh, shoot, it's cooled down. Turn it back on. It's heating back up, getting closer to a boil, right? Getting closer to basically the energy, that boiling action. And then your phone rings. And it's an old school phone, so you have to go in the other room. It's not in your hand. So you have to, okay, shut the gas off, turn everything down, go get it, go answer it. It's your great Aunt Bertha, and she has 17 questions. And okay, so then the water cools back down again. Then you walk back in, you have to get it going again. Then your kids scream, shut it off. All right, so this keeps happening. This is basically a example of the trigger cycle. Okay, so you're trying to get going, you're trying to go, but then something happens. There's a trigger, and then everything stops. Your brain hollers, no, don't go anywhere, stop, be safe. And so then it all stops, and then you have to get it all going again. So this one being one of the greatest dangers is we're going to learn how, it's called neuroscience, and you learn how the brain works, okay? And you're going to learn also that, yes, our brain is there to protect us. It's there to keep us safe. But remember how we talked last time about that neuro set point? So, Bree, are you still with us too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic. Just want to make sure I didn't lose you. The neuro set point is in the middle. You are safe. You are comfortable. That's everything you know. And on the outside are the dangers. But on the outside is where your dreams lie, your goals lie, your how you want God to use you, your aspirations, okay? And that's what the brain looks at as an, no, I can't, it's dangerous, and it keeps you as much as it can inside that box, okay? That's your neuro set point. So we're going to walk through what each of these means. Now, energy, it takes far less work This is what we're talking about with that boiling. It takes far less work, or with energy in general, to keep it moving rather than to get it started. Okay, you have this incredibly massive boulder that's like, or even think of a car. Okay, your car goes into neutral and it dies. Did you ever have to do this growing up? And you have to like get behind it and push it? Did anyone have to do that? No, I did.
Well, my husband pushed it, you know. Not
Okay.
me.
So to get it going, it takes so much work. But then as soon as you get it rolling, then it's so much easier as long as it keeps going, right? So that's what this is about. Get it moving, keep it moving. Okay, that's this momentum that we're talking about. So trigger event. You're turning the heat off. And what happens with this is your brain gets triggered and takes you back to, we talked a little earlier about, we all have glasses on, everything that happens in our past. These are the experiences we see life through. So you had a horrible childhood, you're going to see life through that poor 5-year-old child's perspective, okay? So when that trigger happens, that puts that 5-year-old in charge. Okay, so we're going to walk through a couple scenarios with that. It could be triggered by anything. Puts the brakes on. It could be overwhelm. It could be anxiety, frustration. For example, in your business, oh, it's not growing the way I wanted it to, or I had enrollment, they were so close and then they changed their mind, or somebody canceled their LRP. Whatever it is, if we allow it, it's going to trigger that. It's going to put that 5-year-old in charge. And the blueprint, okay, so just write on down your notes. We're going to walk through what each of them mean. The blueprint is your belief. So the 5-year-old we talked about, this is the identity basically of that 5-year-old. Well, I already know that if I do such and such, and this is going to happen, okay? That's your blueprint. You live in the past and you have maybe this distrust of a possible future outcome because of something that you've experienced, all right? That's the blueprint. Thoughts. Well, of course it's going to happen. It happened last time, so of course. So that's your thought, all right? The process. The emotions, typically when something bad happens, usually, unless you're like the most optimistic person in the world, usually our first reaction is the negativity. And it's the frustration. It's the judgment, which is huge. We talked about this, of ourselves. And when we judge ourselves, we know we're actually judging our creator. It's that disappointment and it's the helplessness, right? Like, oh, I don't have control of anything. And what this does is it hijacks that energy. You had the ball going, you had that kettle boiling, and it hijacked it. It stopped it. It put everything at halt. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to move into this because of that, right? That's all the inner game we talked about. You're going to move to action or inaction. So this is the other part of that little cycle there. So the action or inaction, the action that you might take is desperation. So then maybe you go into hyperactivity and you're like, oh, okay, well, I just got to solve all the world's problems, right? You met some of those people, or you've done it yourself, or you go into shutdown. It's not worth it anyway. I'm just going to give everything up. So these are the two, action or inaction. Then your E card. This is a little funny when I was learning. This is your energy card or your emotional card. Okay, in life, everything is based on molecules. We're all created out of molecules, and every molecule has a vibration. If it's very high, high vibrancy, high health, high vitality, it's going to have a really high vibration. Whereas if it's super low and sluggish, it's going to have a very low vibration. Okay, this is just science and nature in general. So your E card is what this is labeled as, is that energy card. Okay, so this is your vibration. This is when, have you guys ever been to like a birthday party or a graduation something or wherever, you walk into church or class and somebody walks in and you get that instant gut feeling of, dude, we're going to be best friends forever. Or, I don't want to talk to that person, right? Has anyone ever experienced that? Okay, so that's that vibration that our brainwaves, I believe, can be felt out. It's something along the lines of like 10 feet. And our heart waves, without us realizing it, can be felt out to 30 feet, okay? So that's that vibration of what is you've gone through this mentality, all right, your action, hyperactivity, or shutdown. Then what's the E card you're putting out? Probably it's not going to be so exciting and drawing people in at that point, right? Everyone's going to be like, let's just go to that corner over there, right? So this is going to be the attraction, drawing people to you, or repulsion. They go the other way. This is, which I thought was a really interesting point. Oh, before I get there, usually they say you have 6 seconds to give someone a first opinion or to draw it from someone else. In reality, it's actually a nanosecond. They get that first impression and they think they know who you are. And what you do in that following 6 seconds is you're either confirming it or you're denying it. So you're saying, yes, I absolutely am a fun, loving, wonderful creature, or yeah, you don't want to be my friend. You want to stay where you are. So that's that attraction or repulsion, okay? This is more important than your business card, because this tells people who you are. So when you walk into a room, how do you want to present yourself? It's called posture, right? 10 minutes, we can do it. Is posture. Do you want to present, I have an amazing story to tell you. I have the ability to change everything from this point on for you, for your family. How are you presenting yourself? Do you truly believe in what you have to offer? All right, that's that E-card. Okay, so results. If your E-card is negative, what's going to happen to the people?
They're going to get negative results.
Yeah, they're going to get negative, or they're going to run away. They're like, yeah, I don't want any part of this. And because of that, guess what happens? That's your results. It reinforces that belief of it's not worth it. It's not going to work anyway. Do you see how that continues, that neuroscience there? So cause, effect. Something happens, this is what we believe. So we're going to, first of all, figure out what the triggers are. Okay, so we had talked, actually, let me grab it really quickly. Sorry.
So figure out our negative triggers, you mean?
Yes. So this is going to be one of your assignments. So this is, I have, it's called 6 daily questions, and I'm going to post this in our leaders group. But basically, it's 6 daily questions. Who am I going to share the oils with? Who has attended a class that I'll follow up with? Who's enrolled that'll help understand the LRP, etc. Okay? And so you ask 6 questions. And as you're going through that, personally, I've learned one of my triggers is the phone. Like literally this little thing right here, I'm like, I have to call people. And I'm like, I need to do this first, and I need to do this first, and I need to fold my socks and iron my underwear, right? Like all of these things are I have to do that first, when in reality, that has nothing to do of importance with what I should do. So that's a trigger of mine. I've learned that, okay? That's an income producing activity, your IPA, that's going to create that, okay, run away. I don't want to do it. So you got to catch it, because we're going to tell you next week how to deal with it, or in 2 weeks. All right. So if that phone calls for you, you're going to write in that trigger cycle at the top. What is the trigger event? Does someone want to share what's something they know off the top that they're like, oh, I hate doing that, or I really despise when I have to, etc.
Oh, when you have to do, I thought you meant something that we'd get distracted easily by. I guess I got the wrong.
So that is possibly part of the potential, but a trigger event is basically like a 5-year-old gets hurt, and then he's like, forget it, I'm going to take my ball and go home. I'm not going to play with you. I'm not friends with you anyway, right? It's that something happens, it puts you into this negative spiral that unless you stop it, it's going to continue that way. It's going to reinforce the belief, etc. So that's what a trigger event would be. So for example, we were talking about mindset. When you walk into something that triggers you and you have that critical thought, this is training the brain to come out of that. Okay, sorry, excuse me. So these are some of the things super quickly. You're going to write it down. So what is the event? And then number 2, what did it hook? So that's your blueprint. What's your core belief? What's the memory? So that would be like people are, da-da-da. Life is, da-da-da, okay? What did it hook? What thoughts came from that? I am not good enough. I am, da-da-da. It wasn't going to work anyway. Number 4, emotion. How do I feel? Action. What am I doing or not?
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, sorry.
Tell me where do you need me to repeat?
What I'm getting down. What did I feel?
So that's the emotion. So what actions came from that hook? Emotion, how do I feel? Action, what am I doing or not doing? So my goal is...
Or was it like how I responded to it, do you mean?
Exactly. That's exactly what the action is. So the 5-year-old picks up his ball and leaves, right? Or he throws himself on the ground and pitches a fit. That's the action or inaction. So your goal is to lose weight. And you go out with friends and you decide to have a piece of chocolate mousse, okay? Cake. And then you get home and that's your trigger event. Oh, why did I do that? I'm such a... And so instead of saying, you know what, life happens, I'm just going to figure it out and keep going, you pull out that massive, gallon of ice cream that's in your freezer and you're like, fine, I'm just going to eat this anyway, right? So that's that trigger event, your action or inaction. Or you don't go work out. I can't read my writing, sorry. So instead of the next morning, you get up and you're like, whoosh, it failed yesterday anyway. Why even bother? That's your action or inaction, okay? Then the E card, we talked about, that's that vibration, the energy card. What are you projecting? You know, people feel fear, right? Just like dogs, animals. They feel without us even saying. Have you ever walked into a room or one of your good friends comes up and you look in their eyes and you don't say a word, but you just give them a hug? Because you feel that. You get it. You know what's going on. That's that E card, that vibration, okay? That's that nanosecond read, then the 6-second confirmation, and that is your brand. That is you. And that is what people are going to know of you. So do you want it to be that? Or do you want to, hey, let's figure out this trigger cycle and let's work on this. All right. So really quickly before we run out of time, action items. I'm going to give you 2 of them. So I'm going to post this, first of all, because this is foundational. This isn't to do with a trigger cycle, but this is just business in general that I am learning. Some of the people who have reached their goals the most successful, they are what you call masters of the mundane. What that means is they do the boring, old, same stuff. They're really good at it. And because they do that, they don't do anything super high and fancy. They do the normal, they do the mundane, and they get that growth. They get that, what they're hoping and praying for. So I'm going to post this 6 daily questions, all right? So that is, you want to just fill that out, okay? Because as you're doing that, your second action item is you're going to be finding your triggers. So the first one is, who am I going to reach out to? Okay, do I like reaching out? So for example, Nancy's gift of connectedness, that probably isn't one of her triggers. But maybe one of her triggers is she sets a class and only one person shows up, right? And that puts her into the trigger cycle. So walk through the 6 daily questions. You're going to find your triggers, right? When that negative thought pattern happens, whatever it is. It could be nothing even to do with your business. It could be to do with yourself and how you view your own self. So you're going to fill it out. Then you're going to fill out your trigger cycles. So with that, the trigger events. And you can do this all on that same PDF. You can print it off, or you can do a separate cycle for each event. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. And then we're going to discuss that next week. And I would love for someone to share it too as we go through it about what happened, how they feel, what was the action in action, and then we're going to talk about how to reverse that next week, okay? Or 2 weeks. Keep doing that. Okay. Any questions?
Is it in 2 weeks?
Yes, it's the first and the third Thursday. So I don't know. I can actually tell you the exact date of what it is.
You know what? On the 31st, Suze?
It's not the 31st.
Okay, good, because I should have thought of this because you're teaching a class that night here. I told you that, right?
Yes, you did. I see that there.
Okay.
No, not the 31st. It's the 7th, which would be the first Thursday, and the 21st.
Okay.
7th of June and 21st.
Of June?
Yes,
Of June.
So it's the first of every month and the third Thursday of every month. First Thursday.
And
Any other questions?
June 20. I'm good.
Okay. I would love, if we have like 30 seconds, would you, maybe Melissa or Breeze, just stepping into this, to share maybe something you've learned in your, hey Chris Peck's just jumping on, something that you've learned in your personal development lately that's really stood out to you. So personal development is a podcast you've listened to, a book you've read or heard, a sermon, etc. So anything you're doing to grow yourself.
You know what I heard that really nailed me to the wall? Because I always want to, I'll do this when it's just right, or I'll do it when it's, you know me. I want everything right. Anyway, it said perfectionism is fear in high heels.
Mm.
And it's so true. Let me tell you, like, perfection looks like you have it all together, but all it is fear in high heels. And I was like, Melissa, that's just your fear that it won't be perfect, and you just got to do it. So that's really helped me to just progress over perfection.
I love that. I should write that down. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And it is so true. Sometimes Like, you remember in high school, some of the girls we thought were the most wonderful, and they were probably some of the most scared, unconfident people.
Mm-hmm.
Perfection is fear in high heels, right?
Yes.
Okay. You're right. That one down. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. Okay. I think we are out of time, but Chris, thank you for jumping on. Appreciate it. The recording will be posted. It's going to process, and then I'll post it on the link as soon as we're done here. Have an amazing rest of your evening.